My name is Rachel Fruin. I'm joining you from the Chicagoland area. I was a high school math teacher for 15 years and then transitioned a couple years ago to educational consulting. And somebody said I caught the adult learner bug, which I feel is totally true. I do get excited and passionate about serving adults and working with adult learners. So I'm glad that you're here in this session and we get to learn together. In 2016, I taught a class that we called Blended Algebra 1. It was for freshmen in ninth grade, and they came to class 2 or 3 days a week, and then the rest of the time they learned remotely. So they were actually learning in the cafeteria or the hallway or the library, and they even had off-campus passes. So they could leave school and go home for the period, walk to Starbucks or somewhere local. So I have experience teaching in a remote environment, kind of totally different situation than everybody's facing right now. But that gave me the opportunity to learn a lot about how to do math with digital tools. So I'm happy to share that experience. This session is brought to you in partnership by Dell and Advanced Learning Partnerships through Operation Connectivity across the state of Texas. Dell provided devices for students in response to the pandemic. And with those devices also came credits for professional learning, which is why I'm in front of you today. A little bit about us. Here are our values for Advanced Learning Partnerships. We are delighted to serve you and to bring this content to you. And we hope that you continue to trust us with your professional learning. All right, and this is a learning network, so feel free to follow at ALP Learn, that's Advanced Learning Partnerships, and tag Dell TLN if you find this content useful and want to spread the word. Today, we're going to talk about how to engage all students, remote or virtual learning environments with best practices in secondary math education and appropriate digital tools. You'll be able to use strategies and tools to help students communicate their mathematical understanding. Well, we just have 2 people in the room, so I don't think we have to worry too much about norms. I would love your active participation. Think about students who aren't in the room, be solution-based and present. And a hard one, I always feel like expect and accept non-closure. I hope that you come away with ideas that serve you and your students. But also I hope you come away with some new questions that come from tonight's session. So a big question that we were asking during the pandemic a year ago, how do you do math on devices? And the quick answer was to have students do homework problems any way they could on a piece of paper, from a workbook, from a textbook, and they would just take a picture and submit it. They would email it, submit it on LMS. Sometimes they were texting teachers. It was just like, however you can get me your work, get me your work. We don't like this answer because it's not representative of what's going on in a math classroom. Math classrooms are collaborative. I think of hearing students. You hear their thinking out loud. You see students erasing, which is a part of problem solving. You hear depth of knowledge and critical thinking. You hear students justifying their reasoning, and that's all hard to capture on a worksheet or a notebook paper. You see students responding to each other, so it's not just student to teacher and teacher to student, but there's a lot more participation. And so I hope from this session tonight that these are the things we gain, that you accomplish from this session. So the NCTM has 8 effective math teaching practices, and I just want you to be aware that this is a research-based session, and the highlighted practices are ones that we're going to focus on. This session is all about how students communicate what they know using technology. So in order for them to tell us what they know, we have to ask purposeful questions. So that's on our end as educators. But then we want to facilitate meaningful math discourse, and we want students to show evidence of their learning. So instead of how to do math on devices, we want to ask a better question. How can students show us what they know? How can they express their understanding in a blended environment? And whether we're in a virtual, remote, hybrid, concurrent, whatever we want to call it, next year, I think that these practices of helping students express their understanding are going to serve students everywhere. So we're going to start off with those prompts. What do we ask to engage students in critical thinking and mathematical dialogue? So I'd love to hear from you. This is a participatory session. You can share in the chat or unmute yourself. But what are some questions you ask your students to engage them in critical thinking? And this doesn't have to be technology based, just like what types of questions get your students thinking? Lizeth, are you there? Can you hear me? Hi.
Hello, sorry. Yes,
That's okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if I was just talking to myself.
No, I was listening to you.
Okay, good.
Yes. Well, I always try to put to my students real world scenarios so they can, have the idea. I'm trying to put in the real world situation, so they just start, thinking what the process is gonna look like, and from that, we start, digging, digging deep.
Yeah, I love that. That's great response. How old are your students?
And I'm a math sixth grade teacher.
Okay, great.
So they are
Yeah,
about 11 and 12.
great. Yeah, that's I think so important for kids at that age to understand and connect math to the world around them. So I have some websites here and the link to the presentations in the chat, so you can come back and access these later.
Yes.
They're all free websites and they have prompts that are broken down by grade and by standard. So if you're ever looking for something specific for your content, these are not necessarily real world problems. I would say estimation 180 is probably the closest. And notice and wonder could also be a prompt that gets you to that real world questioning. But a lot of these get students thinking deeper about topics and content for pure math. So I'm going to show you a few of them tonight as we go through the problems.
Okay.
So one type of problem is visual patterns. Have you seen these before?
Yes.
Okay, great. So are your students in person or are they remote?
They are, well, the 95% they are in face to face now.
Okay. And do they have devices in front of them?
Yes.
Okay, great. So with a prompt like this, I created this session for kind of the whole gamut of like some students are hybrid and some are learning remote. So I had planned to show this, like if you were teaching students over Zoom, I was going to show you how to do Zoom annotation on this screen. Is that something you're interested in learning? I have.
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
Okay, great. So what kind of device are you on right now?
Laptop.
Okay, great. The reason I ask is because Zoom annotation doesn't work with Chromebooks, so I didn't want you to be stuck.
Okay.
At the top of your screen, if you hover your mouse, or sometimes it's the bottom of your screen, you get a pop-up menu for tools, and the menu bar should say annotate. And when you click on that button, it pulls up different options. So if you get the draw tool, then you can actually, as a participant, draw on the screen just like I am.
Yes, yes, I'm using the tools when
Okay.
my virtual instruction.
Okay, good. Awesome. The reason I like the annotate tool is because we want students to be able to like show us what they know. So having them speak, but also draw to show us how they're thinking about a pattern. So a student might say like, I see this plus being repeated in the pattern. So here's a plus, and then I just see it being built around that. And another student might get a different color and say, well, I saw it differently. I saw rectangles, like this rectangle is a 1x3, a 2x4, a 3x5. And then there's always like the two, the one on the top and one on the bottom. So it's a great way to get students discussing in synchronous formats, which I think is pretty fun. Get out of my annotate tools. Have you used Desmos before with your students?
No, that one no.
Okay, Desmos, I'm so excited. Desmos is a really fun tool. There's a lot of different features, and it was designed specifically for math. It can be used across the subjects, but a lot of pre-made content that exists out there is for math. So I'm going to copy the link and put it in the chat. And so Polygraph is a game kind of like the childhood game Guess Who. I'll show you how we're going to access it. You don't have to log in. There's a continue without signing in, and it'll ask for your name. And then if you're doing with this with students, you might want to have them play the practice round. Are you familiar with the game Guess Who?
Actually, no, is gonna be the first time that I'm gonna try.
Okay.
But
Okay, good. Yeah. So the premise behind the game, it's like a board game that children play. And the premise is to ask yes or no questions. So like one person would pick a face and you'd say like, does your person have glasses? Does your person wear stripes? Is your person wearing a hat? Things like that. Is your person wearing blue? And you would eliminate based on the answers. But Desmos has designed this game so that you're asking yes or no questions about math images as opposed to faces. So we're going to skip the practice round, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can play each other. So if you click on that link I shared in the chat, and you can kind of follow the same directions, you can continue without signing in.
Okay, let me go. I open it. Okay, so I have to sign in without
Underneath,
right?
you could continue without.
I just put my name. Okay.
Yep. And then you can click skip the practice round. So since we're both in here, it automatically partners us. Desmos is telling me to pick a graph that I'm interested in. So I picked a graph, and now you're going to type yes or no questions to me. So you're trying to figure out which of those 16 cards I picked.
Okay, like, figure out which graph your partner pick as yes or no questions about the graph. Okay. Okay. It is your graph circle? One. I'm doing correct.
Yeah, you're doing it correct. I think I understand your question. So let me say yes. So now you can click on ones that you know are not the right answer based on my response.
So it's no. There has to eliminate based on your partner answer. Okay. Right. Okay.
And then when you eliminated all the ones you think are wrong, you can ask me another question.
Okay. So I need to eliminate another one. Okay.
You can eliminate as many as you want.
Okay. Don't let me, okay. I say eliminate based on your partner's answer, then press button below. Okay. Another question. Why one? Let me see. I think I start understanding.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if it's only one quadrant, I can eliminate this one. I can eliminate this one. Okay. Why they don't allow me to eliminate more?
I don't know, because usually you can eliminate more. I think you have to click them all and then press eliminate.
No, they don't allow me to eliminate more than one.
Do you want to ask the same question again then? So you can eliminate.
It's your graph.
Try clicking on all of them and then click eliminate. You got so many with that question.
And what happens if for any case I eliminate or they don't allow me to eliminate the one that you choose?
So from the teacher side, there's a dashboard where you can see when students get it correct or get it wrong. So the teacher can be monitoring the games at all times, but it'll just say like, if you eliminated the one that I had chosen accidentally, it would tell you that the game is over. And then if you were in a classroom full of students, like 30 students, it would match you with another student right away. So it kind of like mixes up.
Okay, I get it. Okay, so the program is gonna tell me that it's a wrong selection and the game is over. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it's cool. Yeah. Like it.
Yeah, so I'll share my screen again and show you a little bit more from the teacher side what I see. Let me grab the right window. All right, so this is the teacher side of things, teacher.desmos.com. You can create a free account. In the upper right-hand corner, I'm already logged in. And I'm looking at my activity history. It's making me sign in again. And so that was the polygraph transformation. So this is from the teacher side of things. I can see that the two of us were playing a game. As the teacher, I can see all the questions that have been asked so far. And they've got this anonymized feature. So it turns everybody's names into mathematicians and scientists. And so if you wanted to display the session to the class and not point out like who's who, you can anonymize. And there's also a pause class feature. So if you see questions that you like, you can pause the game and then students can't keep going. And so you can talk about the questions being asked, like, why do you think they asked about quadrant 1? Why was that a good question to ask? And so you can pause the activity in the middle to keep the conversations going. If you're interested, Desmos has a lot of polygraph activities. So from teacher.desmos.com, you can search for, just search for polygraph. And that's the name for all of these yes or no questions. So they've got a ton like for fractions. I'm sure some of the shape ones might be appropriate for 6th grade. A lot of different things to choose from, different pictures of graphs and a couple ones about shapes and things like that. So fun game to play with your students. Let me jump back to the slides presentation. Oh, and just so you know, so this is what happened, like we've been idle for a little bit. We haven't been playing, so it recognizes that. From my end, let's see, you can't really tell, but there was a square I picked and I could see like the yes or no questions. And I just have a button. So like when you ask me yes or no questions, I can't type or anything. I just have to click yes, no, or I don't know. So Desmos, I think it's really fun. Students get really engaged in it. I've heard from teachers that their students were asking to come back from recess early so that they could play Desmos, which I think is a really fun thing that's going on. They're engaging in this educational content. Could you see using this in your classroom? You were muted, so I didn't hear that.
Sorry, yes, I'm gonna start using this tool.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. You're welcome. So another tool that I like is Jamboard. Have you heard of Jamboard before?
No.
Okay. Jamboard is a part of the Google Workspace for Education. And what I like about Jamboard is that students can all share ideas at one time. So I've taken a picture of this problem from the website called MathBends. It was one that I had posted previously on a previous slide. But the idea is that students are supposed to write an equation. And we've got all these overlapping categories. So in A, it's in the green circle, so it's parallel to y equals 4x, but it's not in the red circle, so it can't pass through the 0.25, and it's not in the blue circle, so its y-intercept is not negative. So they have to come up with solutions for each of these letters, and if you do this as a class activity, students could pick which letter they want to respond to. So some students might come up with the answer to A pretty quickly, but other students might not see the answer to A, so that another classmate could fill that in, but they could fill in C, or maybe they understand G. So the different ways that you can use this, I set up the Post-its. Post-its are right here, a sticky note. So I just put the letters, so like A, and then I resize them and put them in order. So you can put the post-its there. And then students have the option to click on the letter and they could just type an equation and save it. Or there's a text tool. So you see this example. They could type the equation. And there's an ink tool. So if they wanted to write, they could. And that depends on touchscreen and all sorts of things like that. So I like it because it gives students a different way to access the information and to share what they know. And they can kind of choose whether they want to type or write and how they want to express it and what part of the problem they solve. I will also say that if you're interested in the math bends type of problem, this problem is pretty complicated with the 8 things that they have to solve. But on the website, they actually have just some problems that are just 2 circles. So it's a lot simpler. They don't have to solve all of these things. It would just be the green and the red circle. Any questions about the math bends or the Jamboard? Okay. So those were some suggestions and ideas for ways students could express themselves if we're all together, whether it be virtual or in person. But I also wanted to come up and share some ideas of students expressing their thinking asynchronously. If you're assigning digital things for homework or if a student isn't present, they can still participate in the learning. Have you used Flipgrid, the video tool? No? Okay. So Flipgrid is a tool that is educational. It's free. It was originally created just to record video. So students would just record themselves speaking, and then it compiles all the videos in one place and they can watch each other's videos, and there has to be login. So it's very safe and private. But they've gotten in the pandemic, they've gotten really great about different ways that you can use Flipgrid. So I'm going to show you how I would do this problem. Actually, I have so many Google accounts. I have to make sure that I'm on the right one. Okay, so you can see I'm on slide, I don't know where I am. Slide 22, right? You can see this problem on my screen. Okay, so I'm going to go to Flipgrid. And so these are things that I've already set up. If you want to create a free account, you can create a free account. I'm going to share, let's see. I'm just going to do this to show you how it works. So you click record a response. I have to turn my camera off because Flipgrid, my camera is being used from Zoom and Flipgrid gets confused. So let me retry camera. Okay, so you've got different options. The student could just talk to the screen, or they could do record screen. So when they start screen recording, they could go to a Chrome tab, and so it pops them over to the side, and students could, if they were solving this problem, they could type in, let's see. They could either handwrite or type in different answers in this box and be explaining their problem. When they're done, they can click stop. And it automatically records for them, and they can go back and click next and go through. I'm going to close that example. Another way to do it is the effects, and there's a board. So the board automatically does a split screen, but they can squeeze themselves out of the picture if they want. And then if they go to effects, they go to the ink tool. And so if they wanted to solve a problem, that problem was like blank x plus blank is greater than blank. So something like that. And I haven't hit record yet, so you can set it up and then hit record. So I might, as a student, say like, okay, there's the problem. And then it counts down, and they might say, the way I solve this problem is I said 4x plus 3 equals 6x plus 7. And then they could pause it and submit it. So Flipgrid is a really cool tool for math because you get that speaking and writing or drawing component in there as well. Any questions about Flipgrid? Okay. All right, so Desmos, we saw the polygraph, but there's a lot of different ways that you can use Desmos, and they've got a ton of different activities. So I wanted to share a few. Again, this one, you'll have access to the slides. So if you want to go there, you can. I'll just model it for you right now. It gives directions. So this is just telling you how to use this. So it's telling you to try y equals x squared. So you see that the parabola went through the points when I did this squared. Submit that and then go on to the next slide. So it's asking for parabolas, one through each set of colored. So maybe for the blue one, I think this equation is y equals x squared. Maybe I think it's minus 3. And so when I click check my work, I see the blue one going through the orange ones. So then as a student, I'm like, okay, how can I refine this? Maybe if I change this to be a plus, then I check my work and see that the blue parabola is going through the blue points. So it's cool in that students can kind of check and edit their work as they're going along. They don't necessarily need you to grade their work, which is really nice. And as a teacher, it has a feature where you can see who's doing it correctly and how they're doing. This one, you can see there's 15 slides. So the teacher dashboard shows you what slide they're on, which is pretty cool. Any questions? I'm kind of talking fast about this.
No, it's okay. It's because I don't really think that I'm gonna use this tool because I think it's for more, upper graders, like maybe A grade, 9th grade, right?
Well, okay, so yeah, this assignment would have been for 8th grade or 9th grade, but Desmos has a bunch of features for.
Right, I know. It's interesting to know that I have this tool too.
Yeah, so you can search by grade level. You might want to search the elementary grade. That's 3rd through 5th. But there might be some stuff in there. I don't know if you type in 6th grade for searching. I think some of these activities might work, but I think it would go better if you search by topic. Like what are you learning teaching right now in 6th grade?
What I'm teaching right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, actually, we finished with all 6th grade content. The last thing that we did was data analysis. So it was more, median mode, box plot. The last thing that we just done the last week.
Yeah.
Right now we're just going back, trying to do a review from the whole year.
Sure.
So
there might be some cool activities in here to review. I mean, I just typed in data to search, but you probably could have searched like average or box plot, things like that. But all these activities come up that might be appropriate. It looks like some dot plots, some histograms. I don't know if we search box
Yes.
plot.
Yes, that is histogram. We did that one histogram. Well, box plot. That is the new in 6th grade. Um,
Do you do fractions, or is that more finished up in 5th grade?
well, it's we bring fractions when we do problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in the beginning of the school year, the first month, we're going through operations with fractions like the four operations,
Okay,
multiplication, division.
sure.
Yes.
So you could search like fractions.
Mhm.
The other thing I'm trying to think, I haven't looked at my geometry or my 6th grade standards in a while. Is there some geometry in 6th grade?
Yes. We have geometry, all about surface area from
Okay.
um, pyramids, prisms,
Mm-hmm.
and volume, but only rectangular prism and a square prism.
Okay. So like this one, this polygraph, identifying 3D figures might be interesting. Um, let's see if there's anything with area. Um, surface area. So the the example I gave you is definitely for older grades, but I just wanted you to know that you can search for other things that would be applicable. And that Desmos isn't just the polygraph that we played, but there's a lot more types of questions. So if you were interested in like, oh, it looks like I've looked at this one before. If I look at this surface area activity, it gives some directions. So on the following screen are several prisms, find the surface area of each. So this is a card sort, and the idea, and kind of hard to see on the screen, but the idea is that you would find the surface area of the prism and then try to match them. So you would put two cards together. I don't know which ones are actually correct or not, but as a teacher on the teacher dashboard, you could see students completing this activity and you could see who's right or wrong and who needs more support and more help. So that's another type of activity that Desmos does. The other thing I wanted to share was like, I had shared how to use the Jamboard if everybody's working on the same slide. But I also like the Jamboard asynchronously. So if you gave a copy of this activity to each student, I like it so that they can show the iteration of their work. One of the things that I think was frustrating when everybody was learning remotely was you couldn't see students erasing. And so this gives students the opportunity, like it says attempt number 1, and they might have put an equation that they realize isn't true. So then they could try it again. And this is attempt number 2. So a way that students can demonstrate their growth and say like, hey, this is what I thought to begin with, but now this is what I understand. So different ways to use tools, some of them math specific, some of them just available for math. But I think the biggest thing is not to just use the tool for the sake of the tool, but always for the sake of the objective that you're trying to teach. And just keep in mind that students want to express their thinking. They want to be able to speak and share what they know. So just creating those opportunities digitally for them to do so. So I'm going to give you a link in the chat for attendance. We give out certificates for participating in these sessions. So I want to make sure that you get credit for being here. A certificate would be helpful for you if you could just click on that link and fill it out. And then we would love for you to attend future sessions. So let us know if you have any questions, or even if there's sessions that you're interested in that we don't offer, feel free to email us and let us know how we can support you in your professional growth.
Okay, for sure. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm really gonna try all the tools. I wanna do my research and I'm gonna to implement all the tools to my. I really appreciate that. Helped me
Nice.
a lot.
I'm gonna put my email address in the chat, just in case if you have questions about Desmos or anything like that, I'd be happy to help you. So don't hesitate to reach out. And there's next week, actually, I have a coaching session for grades 6 through 12, and that is specific for participants to come bring their questions. So if there's something, if you look at the Desmos and you're like, oh, I need more help with this, like that session is devoted to that. So if that's something appealing to you, or if you have questions about other things, you can certainly bring them to that session.
Okay, for sure. It's listed in the website, right? The time and
It is. Yep.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's secondary math tools.
Secondary math. Okay. Secondary.
Or I don't think it says math. I think it just says secondary tools.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you, Rachel. Thank you for
Nice to meet you.
Okay,
Have
nice
a good
to meet you.
evening.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.